Hello and welcome to Rest Here Podcast, episode 1. Hello, it's the same us, same Alyssa and Jeremy, still here, doing our thing. Everything is the same but the name. What's up, Alyssa?
I'm doing great. It's weird taking us in and this being the official episode 1. And yeah, a new chapter and a new brand. But aside from that, I'm doing okay right now on this fine Saturday that looks like it's about to thunderstorm.
Is it going to rain today?
I don't know. It just it's one of those things where just by looking at all the dark clouds, I would assume it's going to rain a bit. At least where I'm at.
It's supposed to rain today too, but not too bad. Although outside, you're right, it does look like it's supposed to just pour. Because like the other day, it was pouring all around the bay. It's crazy.
So, Jeremy, you know how I told you I was on that business trip?
Yeah.
That day it was pouring was when I landed back home. And LA was fairly, partly cloudy and regular. And then I landed in a thunderstorm. It was the craziest turbulence and landing I've ever dealt with in my entire life.
Were you a little scared?
I was scared because I was kind of just chilling and reading my Kindle, and then all of a sudden, the pilot made an announcement that they weren't going to serve water or drinks, and that everyone should just stay in their seats. I was like, oh shoot, this is real. And man, that was such a crazy turbulence, and I was a little freaked out. But it's one of those things where I in my head, I'm just trusting the pilot, just told myself everything was going to be okay. I will say, like, it was so bad that someone threw up after we landed. I felt so bad.
Oh, man.
I know. Turbulence, when I feel you're cruising, I think is easier to deal with. Because you're just cruising in the clouds and you're still at that 30,000 mile level. And you just kind of expect it, but it'll go away eventually in passing. When you're going through turbulence and you're landing, that's such a different story because the velocity's changing as you're trying to go down and you're changing altitudes, and it's way scarier. We're in like the dark pits of the clouds, and then all of a sudden just like lightning flash right in the middle of it. It was one of those things where I was never want to go through it again, but I live to tell the tale.
Yeah. I'm really happy that you survived and you're here to talk about it, because like anything could have gone wrong, like maybe like anything, right? And I know people say that flying is like one of the safest ways to travel, which I believe still is true. There are a lot of folks who are afraid of flying, and
I totally understand why.
Yeah, with good reason. But you and I have both been on planes around the world and gone to places, but like I feel like there is a part of me that's like, what if today's the day? You never know. You could be on the news the next day.
I think about that all the time, Jeremy, when I'm on a plane.
Oh yeah, since I know you fly a lot more than I do, so I'm sure you're just like,
Yeah.
I remember that like 2013, we were having a family reunion, and there was that Asiana flight accident at SFO,
dude,
and we were leaving out of SFO at the same time. And actually, no, we had landed in Long Beach or Burbank. I forget what airport, but we landed in LA, and we were going. No, it was San Diego, I think. We were going to it was San Diego. We were going to a family reunion in San Diego, and when we landed, we were waiting in the airport for the rest of our other family members who were landing shortly after we did. And there was like all on the news screens on TV, like it was just all about that crash at SFO. And I was like, oh my God, we were just there. We just flew out of SFO. Like, it was crazy to think about.
In times when there is some sort of airplane malfunction, airports and airline companies and just the pilots and everyone and mechanics, they're even more abundantly overcautious than normal just because they don't want the same situation to happen again. So it's like a weirdly morbid way of saying that, like, if something crazy happens in the news and you have to fly on a plane, immediately after that plane is probably going to be fine.
Right. Because like the airline or FAA or whoever is going to take extra security cautions and make sure that it's safer than it was before. Like usually whenever a crash happens, they always study what went wrong and they always improve upon it, which I appreciate. Like they always learn from the mistakes.
Yeah, that's basically what my week's been.
All right, yeah, my week has been okay, I would say. Overall, work was kind of busy. I would say like life stuff has been also kind of busy, and been trying to stream here and there. But aside from that, I have been preparing for my trip to Japan at the end of the month with my family. We've been planning this for 3 years now. We have this whole itinerary set out, and I always have to keep reminding my parents that because I speak Japanese, I feel like they're going to rely on me a lot. So I keep telling them, hey, like, I know that you expect me to like translate, but I'm not going to do it all the time. And I'm like, please just learn some really basic Japanese. That's all I told them. I was like, I'm not gonna, like, if you ask me all the time what this person's saying or what's going on, I won't do it. And like, it's not to be mean. It's more of just like, I already started planning out like almost everything for them, and like it's already stressful. So I'm just like, you know what? Like, you have to be on your own. Like, I'm not gonna baby you the whole time. Like, I know I know they're really excited about Japan and they want to go, and they keep like, it's every day we talk about something Japanese related, like in our little group chat, family group chat. And it's cute, it's great, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, I know you want to go here, I know you want to eat this, but like, how are you gonna ask for it, right? Like, I know my mom. Yeah. Like, if my mom asked me to do it for her, I'm gonna be like, no, I'm gonna teach you how to do it, and you can do it yourself. Like, if you want something, I'm gonna teach you how to ask it in Japanese, and you can go have it yourself. And like, because I want her to practice. I want my dad to practice too. And I want both of them to just like be immersed in the culture, because if I do everything, then you don't feel like you're in Japan. You feel like you're like somewhere. You feel like there's someone else helping you, like in that sense. And like, I want them to have kind of a similar experience to how when I first went to Japan, I didn't speak any Japanese, and like I just kind of like used a translation book and asked friends for help. My friends are very kind, and they helped translate some things for me, but for the most part, I was like mostly on my own when it came to that trip back in 2013. For sure. And
very impressive.
Yeah, and I bit the bug and kept going back ever since. But and not to say that like my experience was the best way to go and do it. My parents are definitely in good hands when it comes to someone who is a guide and who can help them get around. But I'm not like from there, obviously, so they're like, how do I get here? How do I do this? I'm like, here's a train app. Like, you can see all the train lines. Make sure you use it. Like, you don't have to memorize it. Just like use the app, use the station names, and it'll tell you how to get there and how much it costs and how long it'll take.
Yes.
But for the most part, I feel like the trip's going to be fun overall. There's a lot of really exciting things I want to do. I want to eat. We're going to the Studio Ghibli Museum. We're going to go to Universal Studios Japan. We were trying to go to Disney, but we just don't have time. We're seeing a bunch of different things. We're going to Odaiba to see the Gundam. We're going to go to Akihabara. We're staying in Asakusa, where Sensoji Temple is. They want to see Tokyo Tower, Tokyo Skytree, all the like touristy stuff, which is fine too for me, because like I know where all those are and it's easy to get to those things because they're very tourist friendly. So it's great. I'm a little stressed, but I think that as the days are getting closer, I'm getting more excited and being less stressed because, it's another country. I get to, leave my state and work for a few days. That's exciting.
It's always a great time when you can just take an actual vacation and break away from work.
Yeah. The last part I want to say is that like my boss also approved me to work from anywhere in the world, so I'm probably gonna work from another country for a week.
Dude, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, we'll see. Like I want to go to Korea. I want to go to Indonesia. I want to go like to other places in Asia right now. Europe. I've always wanted to go to Europe, but it's kind of not a really good time to go given the political climate that's going on in Ukraine and Russia. So I know my parents would just also be very, very worried about me if I went, and I don't want to make them worry. And a part of me does want to visit like all these beautiful places in Europe, but personally, I just feel like it's not a really good time to go. It doesn't matter if it's London or if it's like Germany, right? Like the closer you get, obviously, like the more afraid I'm probably going to be. But regardless of that, I don't know. I just don't feel like I want to go to Europe just yet. I still want to explore Asia. And I still need to go to the Philippines at some point too, is see my heritage.
Honestly, Jeremy, if you say you could really visit 2 countries in one go and just work from them and really, immerse yourself in the life and also, take like a Friday off and go on vacation. Now, flying in between Asian countries is cheaper when you're actually in that country and you're buying the ticket with a local airline versus you kind of pre-plan and you buy your transfers over here. So you can, if you really wanted to, you could play by ear. Like say, like for example, fly into Indonesia. And in your head you're allotting 2-3 weeks. All right, I'm just gonna explore as well as work from here, and then you can decide at any point, like, all right, I'm gonna fly to Korea, and that flight's only really gonna be $100.
Yeah. That's something I've definitely thought about because there's like a ferry between Japan and Korea. I'm like, oh, that'd be kind of cool to take the ferry.
That would be cool.
I'm definitely excited to do that. That's not until like later this year because this upcoming trip is definitely going to be is definitely the priority right now, and so.
Of course, especially because it's next month.
Oh, it's this month. It's at the end of this month, which is next month. Yeah.
Well, there you go, Jeremy.
The days are getting closer.
Oh yeah,
hanging out. I'll be doing some live streams from Japan too, which is gonna be exciting.
I'm really excited for the Dungeons and Dragons movie. That
movie looks sick.
Dude, like, I don't know why, but I'm just really excited for this, them making a movie out of Dungeons and Dragons. And I think part of the reason is in just watching all the trailers, because I think it's coming out either like next week or something. And honestly, I might watch it in theaters. I like how the movie seems to be reflecting the true chaotic journey that D&D is capable of. It doesn't seem to be taking, like, the one thing with D&D is, if they made it into a movie, they could have easily made it a much more serious action movie. And it doesn't seem to be going in that direction at all, and they skewed more comedic, which I'm totally here for.
Yep.
And, I've just been watching, I'm more excited for this than that, Super Mario Brothers movie that's coming out, so...
I like that how they were leaning into the funny, campy part of D&D.
Exactly.
Which
me too.
And it feels more realistic, and you can relate to the characters, and like it just looks badass too. Like all the magic and fighting.
Does.
I'm like, oh my god! There was that fight scene in the Coliseum where the guy was like shooting spells, and they were like using swords. I'm like, yo, that's so sick. Like,
I know.
I'm like, this movie has no right to be badass and also every right to be badass. Like it's just like
I completely agree.
And the casting just seems so perfect. I'm like, what? Like Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, like what's going on?
I know.
Here? Like this is so cool.
Yeah, I'm here for the casting. It also has Justice Smith too,
yes.
who I am a huge fan of. He's not in that, put him in more things, people. I really like him. I liked him in The Get Down, and I would love to just see more of him. So
yeah, he's also sporting a British accent in this movie, which I think is really fun.
Yeah, I'm totally here for it. But yeah, that was my very quick excitement statement that I can't wait to watch this movie.
Oh yeah. I was chatting with my brother, Jordan, about like some adaptations, like how The Last of Us is possibly the greatest video game adaptation of all time. Yeah, no, absolutely. And how like movies like the Sonic movie and Detective Pikachu, like basically video game adaptations becoming like mainstream media and television and film. And we were talking about and discussing how like the reason why it's getting better and better is because us, like the people who grew up like playing and watching this media is now old enough to influence the industry and make it better and be in positions of like power and writing it. Like Craig Mazin for The Last of Us. He was a fan of the games before before he was writing the show. And I was reading like something about how he was given a bunch of games from Sony Studios because after Chernobyl, Sony was like, "Hey, they tapped him to like make a video game property into a show," and they're like, "Hey, we would like you to adapt one of our games." And they gave him a list, and he said immediately, "I don't see The Last of Us on here." And they were like, "Oh, I think they were planning to make a movie or something at that point, so they didn't want to make it into a TV show. But they were like, yeah, it's not on there because of this. And he's like, oh, but I only want to do that one. Like, I don't care about any other property. And so they're like, oh, okay. And lo and behold, he's such a big fan. He included Neil Druckmann, and the rest is history. And I feel like, and he again, like, he's an example of someone who is very passionate about the games and wants the show to do just as good as the games did, and knows everything like front to back. But like, of course, Neil created it, so he works on he knows it a lot more than Craig does, and it's fun seeing someone who comes from TV work with someone who comes with a video game background experience of the property you're making the show about, and just both of those creative minds coming together and making something amazing. So here's to hoping that future adaptations utilize that power. Like, I don't know how much of a hand Nintendo had working with Illumination to create the Super Mario Brothers movie, but I'm hoping that at least the story's good, and like watching the trailers, like it looks like it's going to be a fun movie.
Yeah.
The jury's still out on Chris Pratt. I need to hear more of him in the movie to make a final decision. But the rest of the
watch for Charlie Day though.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
Charlie Day.
Charlie Day's Luigi. I'm like, okay, yep, I'm sold. Luigi's one of my favorite Mario characters, and I'm like, yeah, he's great. And then Seth Rogen is Donkey Kong. I mean, come on, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that fits. Checks out.
Right? And Jack Black is Bowser. I'm like, okay, this is
yes.
So
that was a good one.
Right. So yeah, I'm hoping, like, the cast is stacked, but I'm hoping the story's good, because like, you could have good voice actors, but if the writing isn't good, then I'm not gonna watch the show or the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was just an interesting topic we were discussing, because as fans of games ourselves, we are of the age now where if we decided to take a job to influence the direction of how a game went, like, we would definitely have to be fans of it and put all of our passion behind it to make it work. But I'm just happy to be able to consume more TV shows and movies that are based on video games, because Lord knows we don't need any more Doom or Need for Speed movies.
Jeremy, yeah, we do.
Well, I need it to be campy and fun and not taken too seriously.
Totally.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I think there's going to be a new Gran Turismo movie, and I honestly have no idea what direction they're even going to go with that.
Yeah.
I would assume that a Gran Turismo movie skews more kind of maybe serious versus a Need for Speed. Need for Speed would definitely be campy, but yeah, I don't even know what they're going to do with that. I haven't looked too much into it.
Yeah, I started watching that Aaron Paul Need for Speed movie, and I just turned it off.
Oh my god.
I just was like, he's a good actor, but the story was just like, what is going on? I don't even remember it. Like,
for sure.
Whatever. Yeah.
I love The Last of Us, by the way. I genuinely think it's one of the best video game adaptations, if not the best, that I've ever seen in my entire life. And not ironically too, because I think top 5 for me also includes Mortal Kombat, but I think the Mortal Kombat movie really embraces the campy, brutal martial artsness of the game, which I really appreciate. But The Last of Us is on a different level, and I think, to your point, like, that's a great point, that the people playing the video games are the ones now actually writing it, and that's such a very distinct thing in just making sure that you see, this is the thing that I'm really understanding as I'm watching The Last of Us. We really don't need a direct copy and paste. The spirit of the game really needs to be in it, though. We really need to understand the tone of what the game intended, and then from there, at least like transfer it to in the next medium to a place that still maintains the integrity of the game, which this TV show has done. What I really respect about this TV show is that they've taken the liberties of the game. They've pretty much followed the storyline of the game, but they've also made it different in such a way that works for a TV show setting that does not work for a video game setting. And I think that they do such a good job on that. So, for example, Joel's a great, like, the point of view of playing The Last of Us is Joel. You are playing as him, and he is a very stubborn, rigid, and honestly very reserved guy who does not say much. really until the end of the show. I'm sorry, the end of the game, and we really know what his true feelings are. We know that, of course, like, he suffered, like, loss, but he's very much a cold character.
Yeah.
The TV show explains how Joel becomes cold, not just, like, from the loss of his daughter, but just, like, it explains also just his life after his daughter and fills in these cracks that the game doesn't. And that's what I love about this game. It's they're keeping the storyline and they're just filling in the blanks. Oh, it's so incredible. And eventually, because for people who play the game, you obviously know how the TV show is probably going to turn out. Like the whole like episode in the TV show that covers the Henry and Sam storyline was so well done. Like it was just I just could not believe that they did this justice. So it's like the Henry and Sam storyline. You are really playing it in the point of view of Joel in the game, but when you're watching the TV show, you find the point of view of Henry and Sam and Ellie, and it's fantastic. It's just they do such a good job in finally expressing the feelings of everyone who's a character, and I love it. And even with Tommy, a lot of people are tired of zombies. I was tired of zombies when the show came out. I actually wasn't planning on watching this show at all, but I'm hooked. And of course, like with people who are fans of The Last of Us or whatever, it's not always about the zombies. I know, but there's zombies in this, of course, but there's just so much about like the character development and everyone's arc, and it's the overarching story is fun. Well, I mean, not fun, but it's just it's very detailed, and I highly suggest this movie if you're in the mood for a serious action drama that involves zombies and with some melodrama.
It's a very, very, very good TV show overall. You don't have to play the games to enjoy and appreciate the show. It's just that good, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Pedro Pascal is killing it, and I love him. He's great. And then the actress who plays of Ellie, what's her name? Bella Ramsey. Bella Ramsey is also fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's just so cool. Oh, and then have you finished it, Jeremy? Or like watched it all?
I'm caught up.
Yeah. I love how one of the episodes of The Last of Us was based off of the Valentine's Day DLC. I was like, this is so cool. I love how they did that. Honestly, I really hope that there's only 2 seasons of this. They seem to be actually following the plot so far. Mm-hmm. So by that, we probably are going to end with season 2, and I hope they do, just because it just will wrap things up.
HBO is known for quality over quantity, which I really, really like. Especially when it comes to shows like this. So I also hope that they just end it off after season 2 and they don't make a season 3 based off of original stuff, because in my opinion, it won't be as strong. Maybe it will be. I don't know. But I feel like what we have now is fine. It's so fun too. Like you said, for fans of the games, they watch it and they're like, "Oh my god, like I know this. Like I've seen this before." And like they're familiarized with it, but then there's a lot of deviations. Like in the very first episode, how the car crashes is not from a big rig, and like certain characters go through certain things that like beat for beat are similar to the game, but they're not the exact same replay as in the game. It's a whole different thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I appreciate the show for what it is, and it's a super good adaptation, and I can't really see anything else like it. Like it's so unique and so different. I agree. I love that show. I'm so excited for the finale as of the recording.
Dude,
right? As of the recording of this podcast, it's actually happening tomorrow at 6 p.m. and which is an hour into the Oscars. I'm gonna actually watch the Oscars first, because I need to see with my eyes if Everything Everywhere All at Once wins everything. So, yes. Oh my god, that's the only reason why I'm watching as well.
That's the only reason. That's yes. Yeah, Jeremy, this is straight up the only reason I'm watching the Oscars.
Same.
Because I need Michelle and Key and Stephanie to win awards. So
yes.
That's it. So
yes, please.
That's it. And the Daniels. Like that. This is the only reason why I'm actually watching it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Oh
because
my god.
every other fucking movie is about like is a biopic. Jeremy, I'm not going to go into this rant because I you know me.
No, I know exactly what you're going to say.
I went on this rant at least on 5 different episodes throughout the years.
Yep. No, I got you.
But I want original screenplay, and this is what this is, and I'm so stoked, and I just hope they get it. So,
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so relevant to us too, since we're Asian American, and we're just like, wow, like this hit me in the feels for sure.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, I'm looking forward to watching both of these things, and I hope we all take wins tomorrow. So.
Yeah. Before we go into games,
yes,
I do want to say that Alyssa and I, we watched a Warriors game for the first time together in person at the Chase Center in San Francisco.
It was so fun.
It was my first time ever seeing the Warriors play in person, without Steph Curry or Iguodala or GP2, but that was fine. They were against the Clippers, Russell Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard, and Amir Coffey, and and we won that night. It was crazy. The energy was wild. Like, oh my god, what a good game! What a really good game.
That was fun. That was a good time.
Yeah, I definitely want to go again. Not during playoffs because it'll be extremely expensive if we make playoffs.
I will say, Jeremy, I proposed this. I am down to just for playoffs. I'm down to just go outside of the arena.
It's free. That's true.
Yeah, like we can just go outside, and it could just be the 4 of us again, and we're just chilling and watching. I'm absolutely open to that. Especially like I could just like arrange to like work, on campus that day if we do.
Okay.
So
okay, yeah. We'll definitely discuss it. Yeah. Wow.
Yes.
Fun game. In the beginning, it looked like the Clippers were going to take it, but if any true Warrior fan knows, we always get them in the half. Like we get them after the half in the third and fourth quarters, and lo and behold, it happened. I was actually really happy to see that. I just wanted to see them win on my first game, and they did.
Exactly. And I'm glad that you got to experience that. And it was a very good team effort, that specific game. That was very classic Steve Kerr teamwork coaching. Mm-hmm. So very, very good game to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Yeah, so in getting into video games,
yeah, Jeremy, what are you playing that's not Ishin?
Yeah.
Let's get
as you guys know, Ishin is mine and Elise's top priority. And I don't say that lightly. I'm being serious.
Yes.
We'll get into that in a second. But aside from Ishin, I am playing Sons of the Forest, which is a sequel to The Forest, which was a game that came out in like 2014 or 2016 and had a full release in 2018.
Yeah, you've played it before.
Yeah.
And talked about it.
Yeah. And now we're finally playing the sequel. My friends and I, we've been talking about Sons of the Forest since way before it came out, since it was first announced, and it got delayed multiple times. Finally came out on February 23rd, and it's lived up to every expectation we've had so far. It's in early access, however, they're still updating it. And which means that there's going to be a lot more content coming along. I'm really looking forward to seeing what fun stuff that they bring. They just added like a glider so you can like fly across the map. The map is huge. It's like maybe 4 times bigger than the original. So it's going to be interesting in the future when seeing what updates they bring and maybe what new monsters and mutants they bring. So that's going to be really cool to see. It's a survival horror game. You have to chop down trees, build fortresses, build houses, like you survive off of the land. And it's also co-op. You can have up to 8 people playing together, which is a lot of fun. Having like 7 other of your friends like trying to survive with you in the forest. That's always great. And yeah, it's just a fun game to just play with your friends and to explore and find out new things, and it's great. I can't say anything bad about it. Like I can only say good things. I'm really enjoying it. Aside from that, I also played the Resident Evil 4 Chainsaw demo yesterday, which is a demo of the first level of the Resident Evil 4 remake, and it is both very familiar and also very, very different. Like if anyone has played the Resident Evil remakes and you were fans of the original, you'll know that there's a lot of deviations from the original that they use, and like of course visually, like right, they're using the RE engine that Capcom created. And so you're going to get updated graphics with like ray tracing and scattered lights and like shadows and all those fun things. But aside from that, the gameplay is definitely different. If like it's not beat for beat the same story so far. Like there's no, I'm sorry, it is the same story, but like the events that happen in the first level are so different from the first level of the original Resident Evil 4 that when you play it, you're just like, oh man. This is both familiar and different at the same time, and it's refreshing. Like I'm glad they made it different, because if it was just like a 1-for-1 remake, I think people would be bored. But they definitely made this good, and for a lot of folks, when this first came out, this was everyone's number one video game of all time. Like not just from Resident Evil, but for just in video games in general. So Capcom knows that, like the developers know that, everybody knows it, like, and they're definitely this game seems like it's hype right now. Like I have the other Resident Evil remakes. I haven't beat them yet, but this one, oh my god, I might just start playing it, because I already know the story for the other games, and the story's cool, but this one, oh man, this one's good. Like Resident Evil 4, it strikes a nostalgia string in my heart, and and I'm in the same boat as a lot of folks when I can say that it's one of my favorite games of all time, and it's probably my favorite Resident Evil of all time, because of just how good it is, and how like it's the reason why Capcom is remaking these games, because they know that they're good. They're introducing it to a new audience, and this is one of the examples of like, I think it's totally fine that they're remaking it, because they're introducing it to a new audience. They're tapping into the nostalgia part of people's brains so that you could buy it and play it. Yeah, I'm so excited that I highly suggest you check it out if you have a chance, Alyssa.
Yeah, I'll probably check out. Yeah, especially if it's in demo form. I'm very intrigued, because I've been looking at it, and I'll probably check it out.
Yeah, it's fun. It's great.
Yeah.
Aside that, let's talk about Ishin.
Cool. What chapter are you on?
I just started chapter 4 last night.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how far are you in chapter 4?
Like towards the beginning, because I have been extremely distracted playing this game. I have not progressed the main story as in any Yakuza game, any Judgment game, any Like a Dragon game. I have been busy doing side quests and doing all the little fucking like side mini games, because I'm just like, oh, what is this? What does this do? Like I'm always just so curious. Like the world is just littered with stuff, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is crazy. And here's the best part. They have Don Quixote. I was like, oh my god.
Dude, they do.
I missed you. I was like, oh my god, I've missed you. I don't care what era this is in. Like, for the folks that don't know, Don Quixote is a discount store. Think of like if Target, Walmart, Spencer's Gifts, Hot Topic, Safeway, and Costco had a baby. It would look like that. It's it's hard to describe, but Don Quixote is like my favorite store of all time in Japan. They have a theme song which they remixed into like an appropriate era song in the store. And so when they took it out of Yakuza 8 and Lost Judgment, I was very, very sad. I was talking to, like, you can hear it on one of those spoiler casts or previous podcasts. I was so sad. Like they just took it out.
You talked about it for at least 5 minutes.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
it was a topic,
and it came back for this one. I'm like, oh my god, does that mean the license is back up? Like I have no idea, but it's such a staple for in Tokyo, at least for
yes,
the Kabukicho area, that real life Kabukicho area. Like that Don Quixote has been there forever. It's probably never gonna leave unless like something happens financially to Don Quixote. But like the fact that they included it in the game, the original Yakuza games, was so important because culturally it's a symbol of like it's one of the biggest symbols of Japanese consumerism because of just how prominent Don Quixote is all across Japan. And
everything is sold there.
Yeah, everything. Hot food, like costumes, like everything you want.
Yeah.
And so when they took it out, I was very sad. When they put it in this game, I was like, oh my god, that's Don Quixote, like an 1860s era Don Quixote. And it's funny, Don Quixote didn't come out until 1980 something. So obviously this isn't like real, but like it's still cool for me. I'm just like, this is how I get my Don Quixote fix. Like they didn't include it in the previous 2 games, so I'm really happy they included it in this one. And so yeah, I've been distracted doing all the side missions, like all the sub stories, like I just want to explore. I'm running around the map like, oh my god, I get to live out my best samurai life. And then like a cutscene happens. I'm like, what is going on here? And it's like people dancing, or like an old lady who fell down, or a bunch of guys who are being interrogated because one of them, like 2 of them, stole mochi, or like I get into a fight or something. Like I'm always getting distracted, and I love that part because I forget what I have to do in the main story. I forget people. Yeah. I've forgotten most of the characters' names because I'm just like, oh yeah, I gotta help this grandma. I'll be right back. I gotta go run some errands real quick. And yeah, so I'm only in the beginning of chapter 4. I don't want to talk about too many story beats because I don't want to spoil it for anybody who's listening.
Yeah.
But to hint at you, Alyssa, I'm at the very beginning part where there's that big meeting.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and then after that, I have to go to sleep. That's about it. I finished the big meeting.
There's something fun that's about to be introduced to you, which is gonna introduce to you a more like crafting minigame stuff that I'm now obsessed with. So
I got past that part too. I was trying to go to sleep, and on the way there, I got to that part, and I was like, oh my god.
No, I know. And then it's like and then also it's like her name is also Haruka. I'm like, oh my god, just stop right now.
I'm like, oh my. And I like how he's like, I have 2 conditions. One condition, I want to live here, and I was like, what the fuck? Okay, dude. All right, dude. He's like, condition 2, I want you to live here. I'm like, what?
But seriously, Jeremy, let me tell you why I'm so stoked for this.
Yeah.
I've spent all of my mon buying stupid shit, and I kid you not, I've bought so much cooking ingredients that I wasn't even using just because I passed by a store and I was like, oh, let me just buy one of each, because why not? To realize, oh, I haven't unlocked the thing I'm supposed to use this for. So I'm so stoked for cooking at my house now because I need to fucking use these ingredients.
Here come the distractions, folks.
Here comes the distractions.
Like a 100-hour game turns into a 250-hour game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
There's one quick storyline thing I want to talk about before I go into my side game stuff, dude. So the boss battle at Shinsegumi, Jeremy, this game is hard.
Oh my god, yes it is.
This is such a hard. And the thing is, I recognized that this game was difficult from chapter 1 when I realized, oh, it's really hard wielding a sword or just battling and all these things. And I feel like I've been grinding so much and trying to get these orbs, and I thought I was at a really good level with Shinpachi, but my god, this battle, I used all of my healing items, and I was straight up at 2%, I feel like, by the time that battle ended.
Yep.
And because when he gets to his heat sword that has electricity, I'm just fucked. And I kid you not, if you had to do that, so the fake out, if you had to do that second boss battle, I would have been destroyed. I feel like I would have had to do this whole thing all over again. I was struggling so hard with Shinpachi that if that fake out happened and you did have to enter that second boss battle, I would have been done.
Yeah, I was like, please don't let me fight him. I don't want to fight Soji. And
yeah, like I cannot deal with this right now. It's to the point where I'm trying to. And to that point, Yakuza 0 had the same sort of exponential ramp up where you played it and you were fine, and there was this set of chapters in the middle where very clearly you were very underleveled, and you had but once you pass past that under level, you were basically set and fine for the rest of the game. I don't know when that is, and I'm trying to figure that out right now. That being said, chapter 4 does introduce the dojos where you can start and when I say introduce the dojos, I just mean on the map now those dojo temples appear where you could boost your like brawler and gunman and whatnot. I haven't visited any of them yet. I just see them on the map.
Yeah.
But I need to change something right now because these battles are kicking my ass.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I've been going to God, what's that guy's name? The sensei that teaches you all the brawler techniques, the one Komaki. Yeah, I've been going to him constantly. Obviously, like, he doesn't give it to you immediately. You have to still unlock it. But going to him and learning stuff definitely is helping me when I do eventually unlock it. Yes. I've been actually using the brawler style quite a bit because it's fast. And I noticed that when I'm fighting somebody, it doesn't matter if it's a boss or bandits or, like, let's say in a group specifically. If I'm fighting like a boss with henchmen or a group of bandits, when I'm attacking somebody, the other guys decide to just like start stabbing me out of nowhere and I can't dodge it. And either I press it too slowly in my mind, or I press it at just the right time, but my character animation doesn't dodge it in time. And that's the most frustrating part for me is, like, I thought I pressed it at the right time, or, like, you can't press it because, like, you're in the middle of an action, so you can't dodge it at the right time. I'm just like, oh, man, that sucks. And yeah, and, like, that's the part that is, like, really killing me. Because, like, when an enemy's about to attack, I press dodge, but then, like, my character's too slow. So I'm thinking maybe I just have to keep increasing something. Like, I have to just keep doing, like, you know, training stuff with other senseis and or like fighting people to get those training orbs.
I'm gonna have to do that this weekend.
Yeah, it's tough because, like, when the reason I'm using the brawler one now is because, like, I got the Komaki tumble and it's been helping out immensely. Like, you don't have any weapons, obviously. There's no gun, no sword, but it's fast, and that's the part that is helping me a lot. Because, like, I noticed that all the other techniques, especially swordsman, for me, I want to use the swordsman fighting style, but I can't because, like, he's just too slow when it comes to, like, dodging. And dodging is really important for me when fighting other characters, especially bosses. So, like, in one-on-one boss battles, I've been using the brawler technique, and it doesn't do as much damage as the other fighting styles, but it's still effective in my mind. And it's still working.
And, you know, and to that point, when you use dancer or just wield the sword, it's better for blocking and parries and all these different things. But honestly, the katana does not hit as much damage as a punch. And that being said, like, once I get more orbs, that will probably change, and I'll get super OP, I hope, with my sword and my gun. But it's like this game, they really did pros and cons for each fighting style, which, to their credit, good for them. They balanced it out.
Yeah, it works out.
Side
note, just like Kiryu, Ryoma doesn't kill, but I think it's funny. I think it's funny that you can unlock finishers. Yes. So for the swordsman, you can unlock one. It's one of the starting ones where when a guy's lying on the ground because you knocked him down, you can run up to him, press triangle, and stab him, like, through the side and see all his blood come out. I'm like, oh, he's not dead, you know? Or, like, with gunmen, you can, like, when a guy's on the ground, Kiryu will just pull out his pistol and just start shooting him while he's on the ground
in the heat. Yes,
right? And I'm like, okay, he's not dead. And then for Wild Dancer, you shoot a guy while he's on the ground once, and you stab him with a sword. I'm like, okay, he's not dead, right, Ryoma? He's not dead. I'm like, you clearly fucking killed this guy, but he's okay. He gets up. He's like, I'm sorry. Here's some scrap metal, or here's, like, a talisman. Here you go. I'm like, okay, I stabbed this man multiple times and shot him, and he's still here. Cool. He doesn't kill. Ryoma doesn't kill. Yep. He's like Batman.
I know. And they definitely kept it in the storyline too. I'm just like, oh, Kiryu. I mean, Ryoma.
Right?
So.
Yeah.
Some things never change.
Right? But clearly, there's so much blood coming out of one guy that you stab on the street. But you know what? Hey, he's not dead. Just rub some dirt on it. It's fine. You'll be okay.
Exactly. The map for this game, now that we've unlocked pretty much everything, is insane. it is a way bigger map than I ever had imagined this was going to be.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Ishin.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
And it is, and believe me, I am very thankful for it, because when I discovered chicken racing, it changed my life forever.
Yeah. Oh my god. I haven't played that one yet, but I passed by it and I'm like, oh no. In my mind, I'm like, oh no, this is a time suck. I'm like, I know I'm gonna just go all in. Like,
Jeremy, it's 100% a time suck, and this weekend I want to kind of study it and figure out my strategy to winning every single game. So
yes, let's get distracted.
This could be my real estate game, because actually, because really what this and Pocket Car. This game is pretty much, there's 5 chickens every time you walk into the chicken racing gambling building, and you have to bet pretty much. So there's different ways of bet, but you're betting which chicken wins, and then you'll get money and out of it. But when now that Jeremy, this is where I'm stuck now. You don't just you don't just have to bet first place. You could also bet first and second, and you can also bet, what's the order of the 5 chickens, 1 through 5 completely. And that's where I am at now, of just obsessed with I need to win and guess all 5 placements of these chicken races.
Yeah.
And also, when you do walk in, the names are hilarious. Like one chicken's name is Flustercluck. And then I know. And then another chicken's name is Hell Unshelled. And they're just super adorable and funny names.
Wow. Whoever did the translation for those names deserves a promotion. That's
I know.
Pretty cool.
Once again, 10 out of 10 to the localization team that kills every single time for RGG. So, yeah.
And
then, also with Chapter 3 in this area in Rakuga, we're introduced to Buyo dancing, and this reminds me, Jeremy, I need to figure out how to make more money in this game, because Buyo dancing is an expensive hobby, but I need this in my life.
Yeah, so. I was thinking this is probably feeling Alyssa's rhythm game.
This is Buyo dancing and karaoke are just this is it. This is game over. This is what I've been looking forward to my whole life. And the fact that there's 2, because usually aside from Yakuza 0, there's always just karaoke or just dancing. Oh, and Yakuza 5 too, because Yakuza 5 also has the Haruka rhythm game.
Yeah.
For her J-pop dancing as well as karaoke. But this game has both too, and I'm totally here for it. It's great.
Yep.
But I will say, I think each time you go, it's 1,000 mon. And I'm just yeah, but this is an expensive mini game, which is why I need chicken racing to make all my money. And then cyclically this feeds into my obsession and my hobbies, and then we're good to go. So that's where I'm at right now with Buyo dancing. Also, low key, the woman who runs the Buyo dancing temple is in love with Ryoma, so I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, just Heartbeat is such a good song. I'm just, God, what a, man, you can never fail with the bops and soundtrack in this game. Also, when you do get to chicken racing, the chicken racing soundtrack's actually really great.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah.
I have a unashamed addiction to the karaoke in this game, I have to say.
Okay, Jeremy, did you play the song Ichizu Samurai?
Oh, yeah. Oh my God. So good. Yeah. Oh my God.
When you play Ichizu Samurai for the first time, I texted Jeremy, and I played it because I was going through all of the songs just because it's what I do.
Yeah.
And then I played this song and I texted Jeremy. And I was like, Jeremy, I think there's a song about a samurai who rejects an orgy.
Yeah, I did it immediately after you texted me, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what is going on? I mean, it's not uncommon for this to happen in a Yakuza game, but I was like, for a karaoke song, I was like, what?
And it is a song. It is straight up a song about a true-hearted samurai, which is the literal translation. rejecting an orgy because he has integrity. I'm just like,
very straight edge Ryoma right there, who's like, no, I won't do this because I respect women too much. I'm like, I get it, but at the same time, I'm like, all right, this is a song.
you do you, Ryoma.
Yeah,
you do you.
Exactly.
And you know what upsets me, Jeremy?
Mm-hmm.
That's the hardest song of karaoke 2. Like that is legitimately the hardest song of the game.
Yep.
And now I have to play that song forever to get 100 to get 100. So
yep.
That's where I'm at with karaoke at the moment.
Of course, the first song I played when I went to karaoke was Bakamitai, and I wanted to hear their version of it, and it was fucking beautiful.
Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it's like they've outdone themselves. The music composers. Shout out to Ryosuke Hori and the other person whose name is escaping me. But like, I love karaoke. Every time I pass by it, I'm like, oh no, if I go down to this area, if I go to Teradaya, that means I have to stop by karaoke. Like I always go at least once, and then the bartender's like, do you want to sing one more song? I'm like, fuck it, whatever. Yeah, sure. I'll sing one more song, sure. And it's also very expensive because it's like 1,000 if you do sing 2 songs. It's like 500 for one and then 500 for another one. I'm like, dude, this is expensive, man.
These hobbies are expensive.
Yeah. There's only so much money you can get from that old lady who asks you to run errands for her, and then like you have to figure out other ways to get money, and you can't just keep killing bandits on the street because they don't got a lot of money. And so I might have to go into chicken racing just to fuel my hobby addiction.
Yeah, totally. And it does rack when you figure out the system, like even not figuring out like 1 through 5, but just even figuring out 1 to 2, it can potentially rack up a lot of money. So
that's good to know.
When you bet, good times.
Nice.
Basically, I'm gambling to feed my other addictions, Jeremy.
Oh, it's great.
That's where I'm at with Ishin.
Same. Yeah. Clearly, we're both distracted, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right. What chapter are you on?
I am also on chapter 4, and I just started cooking, so I just haven't gone that far.
Yeah, I'm probably not gonna get far either. Like I got to that part with the house. I'm just like, oh no, here we go. It's like, oh no, it's gonna happen. I know, right? And then, like I said, this weekend, I need to go to these dojos. This game's killing me. I really need to power up because I'm not having it right now. Yeah, and plus, like getting healing medicine is expensive as well. I'm like, it is expensive. Yeah, I'm like, this is like 2 karaoke songs. Like, come on. Yeah, it is. Come on. And I would rather spend it on karaoke. Yeah. Like this is like one Guyo song, like dance song. I'm like, come on. Yeah, exactly. Ridiculous. So ridiculous. Yeah. 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 That's about it for what I'm playing and for Ishin. All right, folks. That's it for this episode of Rest Here. Jeremy, I'm gonna need you to take us out because I still haven't memorized all the new links and whatever. All good. I got a cheat sheet right here to help you out now. Oh my god, and send me the cheat sheet. Oh, absolutely. And the cheat sheet is actually on our website. If you go to restherepodcast.com, we have a new website, and it basically just redirects you to our podcast website through Podbean. Yes. And at the top, you can see all the links that we have our podcast on. We are on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeart, Podchaser, Amazon Podcasts, Pandora, and what else are we on? There's quite a few things that we're on as well. I have to look into it. We're on a bunch of different things, but you can find most of the links there. If you would like to leave us a comment, you can click on Pages at the very top of our website, and she'll bring it down a drop-down menu. Click on Contact. It'll bring up a new page. If you scroll down a little bit, you can leave us a comment on one of these methods. You can email us, restherepodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's restherepodcast@gmail.com. You can comment on any of our episodes on Podbean. We'll read it on the podcast. You can please feel free to click on the link to join our Discord community where we talk about everything video game related. If you want to talk to us directly about video games, TV shows, movies, all that fun stuff, you can reach out to Alyssa and I directly. We're always hanging out there. Not all the time, but like you can definitely get our attention if you add us and we'll try to answer you as quickly as possible. You can also leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, and we'll read that review on the podcast, or comment on any of our YouTube videos, and we'll be able to get back to you and read that comment on the podcast. And before I forget, we do actually have one comment. I don't want to skip this one because this user had left it a few days ago. So this is from Dave97 on our Discord. Thank you, Dave, as always, for leaving us a comment. And Dave says, finally listened to the podcast. Happy belated birthday, Jeremy. I've been super busy. Oh, thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. Glad to hear you both are enjoying Ishin. The game originally released a year before Zero, so it set the foundation for that game. Some of the character cameos come out of nowhere as you progress. I had to look the obscure ones up. Yeah. For those that don't know, Like a Dragon Ishin is based on the Bakumatsu period of Japan in the 1860s. So at a time when Japan was warring between the shogunate and the empire, or the true emperor of Japan, there was like this whole spat between warring factions and who actually has power within the country. And that all ended in 1869 with the disbandment of the Bakufu and the Shinsengumi and all the people who supported the shogun. Basically, the emperor overthrew the shogun in the late 1860s, and it became the Meiji period, the Meiji era, where the modern technology and reform was happening within Japan, and imperial rule took over. There's a lot of cameos of specific historical figures, and Ryoma himself is based on an actual historical figure who tried to lead reform in Japan for the samurai, which is interesting. And Sega and Ryoga Gotoku Studios made this remake because they were inspired by the success of Ghosts of Tsushima. Ghosts of Tsushima did so well in the West that, it was created by a Western studio. It was highlighting the samurai era. The gameplay was so fluid and fun. Alyssa and I have gushed about this game over and over and over again. And Sega saw that and they're like, you know what? We want to release a samurai game. And so they're like, hey, we already have one. Let's just remake it. Thus, the remake of Like a Dragon Ishin was born. That's what we got today. There's a lot of names who I don't even remember, but most of them are based on actual historical figures, just played by the voice actors and character models of those in the original Like a Dragon Yakuza games. So There's that. Thank you, Dave, for your comment. Again, if you want to leave a comment like that on any of our platforms, hit us up. We'll read it on the podcast. We love getting questions and comments and answering them. So that's about it, I think. Thank you guys for listening. Alyssa, anything else?
That's it. I hope everyone has a good day.
Yeah, everyone take care, and we'll see you on the next one.
See ya.